The Sparkle Pony by Angelina Smith. Abby, do you know where I put my brushes? Sophie was looking all around the barn for her pink bag filled with all of her pink brushes. Her best friend Abby was getting ready next to her. I saw them last next to the wash area outside, Abby replied. Sophie went outside to the wash area to find her brushes. She found them, and also something else that made her very upset. The pasture where her pony Duke lived was empty, but the gate was still closed. Back inside the barn, Abby and her cousin Max were still getting ready for the show the next day when Sophie came running in. Duke is gone. He's not in his pasture. Max went over to his tack box and grabbed his bridle out of it. Come on, Sophie. Let's take Oscar out and go look for him. Sophie and Max went over to where Max's pony Oscar lived and put the bridle on. Once outside, they jumped on him and rode down the driveway towards the road. It was a beautiful day in the middle of summer. It was the day before a major horse show, and Sophie couldn't have Duke missing because she had to do well at the show. After riding for a couple of minutes, Sophie and Max started to see strange things flying by their faces. To Sophie, it looked as if sparkles were flying by them. It was a magical moment until Max ruined it. These things are so annoying. No, they are not. They are pretty, Sophie exclaimed. They were pretty until Max screamed. One had flown into his eye, and he lost his grip on Oscar. Being knocked off balance, Max slipped sideways and fell off his pony. Sophie grabbed the reins and stopped Oscar before carefully getting off him. Max, are you okay? I don't know, Sophie. My arm really hurts. Please help me get back on so we can head back to the barn. Sophie nodded her head and helped her friend get on his pony. After Sophie dropped Max back off at the barn, she knew that she had to find someone else to go out with and look for Duke. While she was putting Oscar away, she ran into Abby. Hey, Abby. Max got hurt, so he can't come back out with me. Can you? Of course, Sophie. We can take Bella. Abby and Sophie were at the same place Max and Sophie were when he fell off when they saw the sparkles again. What are those? Abby asked Sophie. I don't know. Let's follow them. Sophie and Abby followed the sparkles until they reached a river. Abby tried to get Bella to walk through it, but she refused to step a foot into the cold water. I'll get off and lead her through, Sophie offered. Sophie jumped off the small black and white pony and grabbed her reins. With Sophie taking the lead, Bella followed nicely behind her. Halfway through the river, Sophie's boot got stuck in mud, and while she was trying to get it out, her foot came out of it. Suddenly, the current of the water swept the boot away. Sophie ran to the shore, leaving Bella and Abby standing in the river. Take Bella and find the boot, but hurry, this river is moving fast. Abby and Bella exited the river and took off at a gallop down the shore, following the path of the boot. A couple of minutes later, Abby came back with the soaked boot. Once Sophie was back on Bella, they continued to follow the sparkles. As they went along, the sparkles started to form together. After a short amount of time, they started to resemble tiny people, only about 4 inches tall, with microscopic wings. Sophie was the first one to spot the sparkle fairies. Abby, look! They are turning into fairies! That is amazing, Abby replied to Sophie. The beauty of these tiny people amazed both Sophie and Abby. Not very long after, they came into a large grass clearing. The sun was shining, reflecting the dew on the grass and making it look magical. Humongous trees surrounded the grass that had wildflowers spread throughout. In the middle of the grass was a dark bay pony with 3 white socks and a blaze on his face. Sophie launched herself off Bella and ran towards the pony. Duke, you're safe! Sophie threw herself at him and wrapped her arms around his powerful neck. Silly pony, did you jump out of your pasture and wander all the way over here? Duke nickered to her in response. Abby made her way over to them with the halter and lead rope in her hand. She handed them over to Sophie. Here, use these. Sophie grabbed them and slipped the halter over Duke's delicate face. Once Sophie, Abby, Bella, and Duke got back to the barn, all of their friends were there waiting for them. They saw that they had finished packing all of their stuff for the show and had the trailer all ready to go. "Perfect timing," one of them yelled across the lawn. Sophie hopped off Bella and led Duke over to the trailer with a smile on her face.